Let's talk Dodger baseball with Showtime LA. And he says, hey, Dave Roberts said Sasaki is throwing bullpens and they are eyeing a late August return. Think he goes in the bullpen as a long man with Snell back in a week. And so, hey, love the podcast, Hacksaw.
Thank you. A podcast is bleeping brilliant. You're correct. The Dodgers situation, he's got to be able to repeat his mechanics, and they're rebuilding that. And yes, he's throwing and he's doing bullpens. Next thing will be opportunities maybe to pitch at Oklahoma City or maybe down at Class A and just see how he holds up. But his ability to repeat the motion and not re-injure the back of the shoulder, that's the big issue. I think it's iffy that Sasaki is going to be here at the end of the season for the Dodgers. I would be very cautious, just like they were with Ohtani and Kershaw. I think that what they'd rather do, if I were king, I'd call Dave Roberts and say, if you don't need him, just bring him along slowly and send him to the Arizona Fall League and let him pitch in the Fall League against all the other rookies and just work his way back up. Because I don't think there needs to be a rush to get this kid back on the mound this quickly.
Do you think A.J. Preller and the Padres dodged a bullet on this whole Roki Sasaki thing?
He wasn't damaged goods when he got here, really. I mean, he was really dominant. We saw him in spring training. We saw him at the start of the season.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was cracking 100 miles an hour. And then he fell apart in third and fourth start, and then he had the physical woes. So I don't think he was damaged goods when he got here, but he was trying way too hard, and then he couldn't control what he was throwing, and then suddenly started to feel really bad up here in the shoulder area. So I don't think they dodged a bullet. I just think that too much too soon expected of the kid.
Yeah, I can see how he was trying too hard, but you don't think this is an indictment of the Dodgers and their pitching philosophy and the way they do it?
They scouted him extensively. They knew the mechanics. They knew what he could throw. I mean, he's got two great pitches. They knew he had to develop a third and a fourth. So I think the whole world was expecting instant stardom just because they had the great success with Ohtani in Anaheim and then what Ohtani's become as a superstar with LA. Everybody, I think, expected, can't wait to see the next guy. Well, the next guy was not quite ready. He's really, really young.
Dodgers they're just stacked with assets, man. Okay, let's keep going. We'll go to Carlos. Hey, Lee, who's winning the AFC West? What are your predictions?
Well, Kansas City. If everything that Kansas City has done leads them to be a more explosive team, I think it's the Chiefs. Now, I want to know what the National Football League is going to do to Rashee Rice, because this guy was involved in this incident that injured all these people. He had 8 felony accounts, and he's not been disciplined by the league. Now, they reached this plea bargain agreement. He's not home free. Yeah, he got a 30-day jail term and a big fine. He's got to face the other guy who's going to hand out discipline. I think Roger Goodell should suspend him for at least 4 games because that was really dangerous stuff. Drag racing and 5-car crash and walking away from the scene of the accident, leaving all those injured people as if, hey, I'm Rashee Rice. What do you think I am? I'm not going to stand here. That's a bad set of circumstances. The league has to discipline that guy.
It's hard to pick against the Chiefs, right? Because they're just so magical, so dominant. But you even said earlier in the podcast that the Chiefs aren't the same as they used to be.
Right.
They're not as explosive, maybe not quite as innovative. Is that fair to say?
No, they still hit a lot of buttons. But what's different is left tackle, right tackle. What's different is a possessed to be excellent Travis Kelce. What's different is Pacheco, the running back, is now totally healthy, and they're deeper at running back than they've been in a long time. Nobody's talked about, they got a power back now, Elijah Mitchell, who came from the 49ers. I mean, he can pound it. So if the left tackle, right tackle situation is much better in terms of blocking, I think they're going to be a better football team. And they've gotten bigger and more physical, and the guys they've gotten, those tackles coming in, those are power run blockers in addition to being better athletic than they've had there. So I'm fascinated. So you asked me the blunt question. I got Kansas City.
Yeah, that's hard to pick against them. I just want the Raiders to be relevant. If they can be second or third on the cusp of a wild card, that would be great for the league.
I would expect junk like that out of your mouth, having been deported from San Francisco. Move on.
Okay, here. This is interesting. This is a little comment on the All-Star swing off in extra innings. And this is from the one Mr. Smith. He says, hey, Dino Ebel pitched to Teoscar Hernandez last year. So that was the home run derby that Teoscar won last year.
Yes, that's right.
but he pitched. And well, he's like the go-to guy, I guess, for batting PP.
Throw those grapefruits up there. No, he did a good job.
Yeah.
Winning pitcher, all-star game, Dodger coach. Whoever thought that? Okay, we move on.
Yeah. Which do you prefer? Do you like penalty kickoffs in soccer or home run derby?
Oh, they're both electric. Home run derby, though, is so dependent on the pitcher getting the right pitch at the right location to the guy.
Yeah.
That's kind of what impacted the American League. I didn't think that their pitching in the swing off was as consistent as the grapefruits that Bell was throwing up there.
Got to go make a pitching change in the middle of the swing off. Okay, let's keep going here, and we'll go to let's go to Ed. New Ed Junk. This is a new name. Hey, what's the point of college football anymore? The players getting paid, aren't they just a minor league NFL now? I've lost all instant. I'm it.
Yeah, I'm bothered by it too. I think it's a very valid point. There's a little bit of a turnoff here. They're trying to get it under control with the new college commission and NIL money, et cetera, but it just has a different feel towards it. And I'm bothered by it. Of course, the capitalist co-host I have says, give players everything they want, money, et cetera. But I ask the question, does anybody go to class anymore? I got a real question about that. And I think it's really hard to be a head coach. You know, it's interesting. A year ago this week, I think we were all excited about Sean Lewis coming from Colorado to be the head coach of the Aztecs and something brand new. And then it fell flat on its face. And they lost his roster because they all went back into the transfer portal and we're back to square one. And it's another clean piece of paper. And all the electricity about Aztec football is just kind of gone by the boards. So it's just not the same. And if you're excited because of the playoffs, I guess that's okay. But, you know, there is no Pac-12. There is no West Coast dominance anymore. Does anybody give a rat's ass about USC and UCLA anymore? Because they're not playing Oregon or Washington. It's just a different era now. And I think it's a sad era.
Well, I'm all for the players getting rewarded. There's a lot of money going through college football, and they deserve to get what they can get. Now, here's an innovative idea. What do you think if the NFL like literally embraced college football and said, we're going to take this under our wing like a real minor league system like baseball has, and we're going to align universities with NFL teams? So, and I'm just kind of making this up. Let's just say that the San Diego State Aztecs were linked up with they're the farm team for
the Rams.
The Rams. Yeah.
I don't.
Could that work? And at least there'd be stability in the system. You wouldn't have crazy, wild West player defections.
Who's going to represent Northern Illinois? The Bears? Come on.
But there might be a AAA and a AA and a single A in an organization. Why not?
So Middle Tennessee State would have a working agreement with the Tennessee Titans.
Something like that. Yeah.
You've said a lot of Jekyll Hyde things on this podcast, but this is really far-fetched.
But they need to do something because...
Well, they are trying to do something.
Right, but I feel bad for Sean Lewis because he just arrived at exactly the wrong time. Yeah. When the whole landscape went sideways. At some point, all these smaller, mid, what do they call them? Mid-majors, they're not going to be able to afford to do football anymore. I mean, a lot of them are, major, in the red, right? They're losing money.
There's a lot of people losing money.
Yeah.
I mean, USC has a monster university-wide deficit. I mean, it's over $200 million. And UCLA's athletic department is drowning in a sea of red ink. They think, obviously, going to the Big Ten and the TV contracts are going to help them, but
it can't go on forever.
No, I concur with you wholeheartedly. So this is where we are. Players' rights. I don't have a solution, and to me it's sad because now it really has a different feel to it, and I don't like the feel that I get when I'm thinking about it. Do I cover it? Yes. Will I talk about it? Yeah, we will extensively. But I just don't like the atmosphere that we're currently in.
The whole idea of a student athlete, kind of sounds like a Norman Rockwell painting from old America.
Bingo.
But it just doesn't apply anymore. I think we just need to. Like the NBA has a G League, and there's kids that can come from high school and go right into that, right? I mean, so we just need to get beyond this. Now, for some people, being a student athlete is the right path for what they want to do in their life and in their career. But some kids, man, they just want to ball. They don't want to go to school. And so we provide a mechanism for that.
Okay, you tell us. Fans Forum chat box is open. If you don't get on today, that's okay. Just we'll reserve it. Give us your opinion. Do you have a different feel about college football right now compared to what it was prior to NIL money in the transfer portal and all that. John, move on.
Okay, let's go to Casey. And Casey says, hey, good afternoon, guys. Lee, when you were doing NFL play-by-play, did you ever cross paths with Rams broadcaster Bob Starr? And who were your favorite NFL play-by-play voices you crossed paths?
Knew Bob, great gentleman. Rams. Prior to that, I think Bob was with the New England Patriots. He was about to retire. He's since passed on, but he was about to retire as I was coming in the front door. Really nice gentleman. First guy I ever had a relationship with was Brad Sham, who's still the voice of the Dallas Cowboys. Really nice man. Crossed paths and became good friends with Kevin Harlan, he was initially radio voice Kansas City Chiefs, and then obviously moved on. Now he's a superstar on NBA telecast. And, guys in New York I grew up listening to. I was a kid. I grew up listening to Marty Glickman. Marty Glickman was doing New York Jets football on radio at that point. Marty Glickman was a superstar track athlete in the 30s and 40s, stayed in broadcasting forever before he retired. Then he passed on. Marty Glickman ran in the Olympics. He was Jewish. He ran in the Olympics in the 1930s in the Hitler Olympics.
Oh, the Jesse Owens 1936?
Exactly.
Interesting.
And I interviewed him a couple of times on talk radio. So, yeah, I've had a cross-section paths of really, really cool people in play-by-play.
The two guys I think about are Lon Simmons for the Niners and Bill King for the Raiders, who was just incredible.
Holy Toledo.
Yeah, that guy was fantastic.
And the most unique one I ever crossed paths with, and I got to know him pretty well, don't understand a word he said, Oy vey, Myron Cope, color analyst, Pittsburgh Steelers.
Oh, wow.
Oh, what a twang. He was a former sports writer, Sports Illustrated. Nice career. He's since passed on too, but he was a color analyst on Steeler football during the Steel Curtain Chuck Noll era. He's the one that invented the terrible towel. And
oh wow.
You ought to just Google Myron Cope. You won't believe the stories about the guy. And he was a homer. He was a shill. He was all Pittsburgh all the time. Oy vey. That's what he would say. Good question. Thank you.
It is a good question. I agree. Let's go to John. Hey, if the Mountain West leadership had been a little smarter, we'd be hearing about their merger with the Pac-12, coming to the Pac-12's rescue, but it seems the lawyers are making the decisions.
Well, the Mountain West tried to get Oregon State, Washington State to fold the Pac-12 office and come to Mountain West. But there was ego involved. There was a lot of money in the Pac-12 kitty that Oregon State, Washington State felt that they had access to and should not. And they wanted to keep the imagery of the Pac-12. It's a very valid question, John. They tried hard, but the Beavers and the Cougars said, no, we're going to stay in business. And they got the NCAA to give them a 3-year window to put this new conference together, and they did. But at the end of the day, with apologies to my friends in Corvallis and in Pullman, this is not the Pac-12. This is Mountain West 2.0, and this is not sexy. And maybe it'll be good, but it's not Oregon, Washington, USC, UCLA, the Arizonas. It's just not. And I don't care how they try to spin it and shape it and whatever pennant race or flag they want to fly up the banner. It's just not. And that's too bad.
Yeah, the way this whole thing is going with all these lawsuits, and it's so messy. And, John's right. They should have just done a merger. Everyone, just be happy that you can make a way, get a win-win deal out of this. But now it's bad enough that this new Pac-12, like you say, is Mountain West 2.0. But it's even a kind of a worse thing as the cloud of all of this drama.
It's a really ugly, bitter divorce. And I've got friends in Laramie who work at the University of Wyoming. I feel horrible for them because that is the only thing in the state. It's got limited resources. And what's left in that conference? I mean, what's exciting about what's left behind in the Mountain West? Air Force is a unique exception because it's obviously a military academy, and you got Army, Navy, Air Force, and there's always a specialist to that. But what's left behind in the Mountain West, to me, is not very good, and they're more to 1AA than they are true Division I any longer, I think.
Yeah. It's the rich are getting richer, and there's a minimal middle class. Where have we heard this before?
The phrase you're looking for is sucks to be you.
Yeah.
Okay, we move on. John Hopkins, thank you.
Okay, let's go here to Manga. And he says, hey, the ESPYs were hard to watch. I miss baseball dearly. Hope I can make it to tomorrow. Just kidding.
Take a deep breath. We all need a little bit of a bye. I'm ready for baseball to start up on Friday night. Padres Dodgers start the second half of the season. Padres have a 10-game road trip, and they're playing in bleeping hot weather. You know how miserable it is in Washington, D.C. right now? And they go from that. Then don't they go play the Mets after that? And then they go to St. Louis.
Oh, St. Louis is going to be
Hot box.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so
That's going to be brutal.
it's going to be a hard 10-game stretch while the Dodgers are home for the next 6. But the Dodgers open against the surprise team in baseball, Milwaukee. That's how they start the second half of this schedule. But I'm ready for baseball, and I'm sorry. I watched PBS during my baseball break instead of watching the ESPYs and all that other stuff, because that to me that's unimportant to me. That's just filler. If you watched it, good for you, but I spent my time watching something else.
Okay. Do you ever watch the Bill James on PBS, The History of Baseball? It's that 10-part.
Oh, yeah.
It's the greatest documentary.
You're talking about Ken Burns.
Yeah. What did I say?
You said Bill James.
Bill James. Yeah. Ken Burns.
Oh,
Excuse me.
I've got the videos.
Yes.
Yeah, I bought the videos.
That is fantastic.
I'm a baseball historian. You know me. How many books I got in my
Oh, yeah.
man cave. Yeah, I'm a baseball historian. Best thing Ken Burns ever did, and he's done so many great things.
Oh, unbelievable. He's a great guy.
It was a thrill. I interviewed him on Sports Talk Radio. He was offbeat. He is
a bit. I agree.
He is really cool.
But
I know offbeat because I'm dealing with you.
But he did the Civil War and the one that came out not a year ago is on Vietnam War. It was pretty good.
Yes, Vietnam War. He did the Grand Canyon. I mean, he's done some
Westward Expansion. I enjoyed that one too.
But yeah, if you've never seen Ken Burns' 10-part baseball documentary, each part is called an inning: first inning, second inning, third inning. You can get it on Netflix. You can probably order it on Amazon, or go to your library. I got it. I got a copy way back because I wanted to look at it a second time from the Rancho Bernardo Library, and then I actually ordered it because I love the collection. And the history, the videos, the historic stuff of Babe Ruth, and the stuff I'd never seen about the Negro Leagues. Really great piece of journalism.
Yeah, I mean the old footage is fantastic too. I think we have the DVD collection, but we don't even have a DVD player anymore. So
I do.
You do. So yeah, good. So you can enjoy.
I still have a manual Royal typewriter too. So yes. Thank you.
Hey, let's go to San Diego State Aztec Mike, and he says, "Hey, college football athletics was influenced by the NFL and professional sports watching players leave for more money, no loyalty. And now that college sports is now professional sports, everyone is complaining. Nobody to blame except the NFL, NHL, and Major League Baseball."
Players' rights. I mean, they picked up the flag and said, hey, if those guys get it, we should have the right to have access to it too. But I blame the NCAA. They made zillions of dollars for decades off these kids, gave them scholarships and all that. But then Ed O'Banion of UCLA, the basketball player, was the first one, said, we're going to sue. We're going to sue for rights. We deserve to be paid. And it took forever to get it through the courts, and the courts ruled, yes, players have a right. The next big challenge is, now that they're being paid, are the players employees of the university? That becomes a big issue. That's a much deeper, much more complicated thing. But it's just, to me, I'm not going to go on a long tirade here because we're short on time. We've got a lot of other stuff to get to. But everything in college sports, to me, no longer feels the same. And that, to me, is really sad. But the players do have right to be taken care of and get their piece of the pie. But now the pendulum has gone from here, where it was, over to here, and it's totally out of control.
Now, Ed O'Bannon, if I remember, he was played at UCLA and won the national championship with Jim Herrick. But wasn't he like in a video game? I think his likeness was in the video game, and he was literally playing the video game with his friends.
And they were selling off it.
Yeah. And he's making nothing off of that. And there is his likeness that people are spending. I mean, the video game industry is gigantic.
Exactly. Early on, it was unbelievable.
Well, but I mean, it's like more than I think what people spend there than they do going to the movies.
Yeah.
So Ed O'Bannon was right for doing that. He had a brother too. Was it Charles?
Yes.
Yeah. That was a good run for UCLA.
So that was the beginning of everything. It took them forever to weave this thing through the courts, and they finally won it. And then of course, more lawsuits followed, and it became football lawsuits and basketball lawsuits, and it was Title IX lawsuits, and it's women. So, I mean, that opened up the floodgates.
Well, when there's a lot of money, you can expect there's going to be a lot of people fighting for what they believe they're owed.
Move on.
Okay, let's go here to social media, get some more guys involved, and we'll roll down the list. And, okay. We're going to talk a little Don and Mud. This has been dominant in our social media commentary. This is from Jesse, talking about the Padres broadcasters. He says, hey, Coleman, Chandler, and Leitner were the GOATs. These new guys are just okay.
They're different. Now, back in that, when I first got here, Chandler, Jerry, and Ted rotated both radio and television. It was kind of a weird concept. They did both. They split, and they'd do 3 innings and go over the other side and do 3 innings. I don't know if that's a better formula than we have right now. I happen to like Don, and I happen to like Mud Grant, and I like the radio guys. I think they do a really clean, quality broadcast. I don't have a bitch with anybody, but the question was posed 2 weeks ago on this podcast, and this guy walked around stirring the pot. If I were king, what I would do different? And I said I'd like to see more things added. And you got all these people on the broadcast, use them more. That's the only thing I would add, not change that I would add. Now, everybody seems to be of opinion there's a shakeup coming in the Padre broadcast, and that Mark Grant's going to get moved to the radio side, and other people are going to move on the TV side. I don't see that. And again, why would you screw with chemistry? Why would you screw with something that's really popular? And these guys have only gotten popular because the product on the field is just unbelievable. If this was the last place, Chicago White Sox, I don't know that Don and Mud would be all that popular, but because they're the point man and the front man. So I don't have a gripe. I just like to see him do some more creative stuff every night consistently on the game night broadcast. And they started to do it after I raised my hand and said, if I were king, I'd add this to the equation. And I noticed just before the All-Star break, they started to do some different things.
Everybody listens to this podcast, right?
Well, I wouldn't say everybody. If that was the case, we'd all be rich. We would have 1 billion followers rather than where we are. And we got a good group of followers that we've built over 2+ years.
Now, I mean, just full disclosure, we brought it up because there was some chirping on Padre Twitter that, it was normal for Mud and Tony Jr. and even Agler to a degree to shuffle around. There was a rotation, and Tony had, a certain period of time he was on television, but it seemed like it was happening more. And people are like, what's going on? And people started trying to read between the lines. But I want to go back to this comment here, Coleman, Chandler, and Leitner. So I remember when I came here to San Diego, it was Jerry Coleman and it was Ted Leitner, and then there was Dave Campbell.
Right.
Okay. And then Chandler had always been there, but he seemed to sort of be in a different orbit. Like he was doing the pregame, postgame, and like some of the feature stories on the Padres television station.
Yeah, Dave Campbell did it, and he did their postgame sports talk show on what was then KFMB radio. But I thought he was really good. Not everybody liked Dave Campbell. He did have a little bit of zing to his approach, but then he left and he went to ESPN, and he did very well. Now, Dave Campbell was a little bit older in age than the other guys, and then he was on ESPN for a while, and then he got out of broadcasting. But that was the concept then, and I guess it worked. It was popular, and of course they had World Series teams, which made the broadcasters popular too. And then they went through a whole bunch of other TV guys, and it changed a lot of different people, and they weren't quite the same. It wasn't quite as good, etc. So their broadcasts right now, I think, are electric because the team is really electric.
Yeah, but those guys are good. Even when, I'm talking about Mud and Don, because even when the Padres are going bad, they're still great to watch. I mean, I just have a fun time. I look forward to the game every day, so that's why I've been twitching a little bit here, waiting for my Padres to get back on TV.
So you take notes when Mud starts talking about making Jell-O and stuff, how to walk the dog. And
yeah, I try to channel a little bit of Mud in this podcast.
I could tell stories about Mark Grant when he was a minor league pitcher in Phoenix. I was doing the Phoenix Giants baseball. We did the Pacific Coast League games on the weekend, and we'll save that for another day because we're tight on time. But Mark Grant threw some freaking home run balls in the Pacific Coast League. They're probably still up there.
Okay, let's keep going. Let's talk a little Chargers. And this is with Al. He says, if all 3 baseball teams in Southern California are performing less than stellar, hey, then let's talk about a Hacksaw's lightning bolt, soon to be Chargers preseason. First up, what in the hell is a superficially eye injury caused by a 4th of July fireworks? New free agent running back signing Najee Harris.
Well, as it was explained to me, he got hit by fragments of a fireworks that exploded in the hands of one of his friends. The gentleman that was holding it suffered severe injuries, burns, lost some fingers. The debris flew out, I was told, and it hit Harris either in the forehead or in the eye area. I was told initially it had something to do with the eyebrow, but then Joe Hickson, the general manager, yesterday indicated it had to do with bruising around the eye. So he got hit with something here. Luckily, it did not penetrate the eyeball, did not hit the retina, the cornea, etc. He came to camp last night. He's in team meetings. No conversation at this point how long he'll be out before he'll be able to actually practice football. So I don't know if he can't run right now, which would limit his conditioning on the sidelines with the trainers, but we'll see as they go forward. I don't think he's going to get much of a chance to play in preseason because they just really need to be cautious. But he's a pretty good running back. I mean, he had 4 straight 1,000-yard seasons, heavy-duty guy. I think he started all 69 games. He was with the Pittsburgh Steelers in that stretch of time. So on a 1-year rental, pretty good player. So you got him, and you got Hacksaw Hamilton, the number 1 pick out of North Carolina. So they'll be set at running back, but he's lucky, knock on wood, that he did not suffer a catastrophic eye injury when you consider what happened to his friend that was standing nearby when this thing exploded.
Yeah, I mean, we always hear these stories about people losing fingers and everything. I'll bet you Najee Harris is just probably really upset with himself because he probably knew better, and he's making a ton of money, and you don't want to risk anything foolish.
Jason Pierre-Paul, Pro Bowl defensive end, New York Giants, height of his career, blew fingers off his hand, fireworks situation. He missed an entire season, came back, played for the Giants, and he wound up finishing up his career in Tampa Bay, but he was never quite the same guy.
Yeah.
But he lost a whole bunch of fingers on his hand.
Crazy.
Exactly. Next one.
Let's keep going. Talk a little Clippers here. And this is with J.C. Thomas. He says, hey, the Clippers have looked better on paper for over a decade. And they became, and then they become paper thin at the wrong damn time, the postseason. Until proven otherwise, same old Clippers.
Well, injuries have had a lot to do with that. I mean, the Kawhi Leonard situation, played out of that Blake Griffin situation, totally breaking down. But I think right now, Kawhi has made a real bounce back. And as long as there's no more setbacks with the problems he's had, quad and knee, Harden's on the floor an awful lot. Zubac has just been rock solid in the paint. And now you add the 3 guys that they added. That's pretty good depth. That's pretty good proven commodity talent. And they do have a bunch of young guys behind them. So I think it's a pretty good team. But they've been beset by just ridiculous numbers of injuries. And then Paul George left and has never been the same player. He just had knee surgery again. And suddenly Paul George, who they had traded for, looked like it was going to be a stud with everybody else in LA. Paul George looks like he's at the end of his career. They can't get him on the floor. He keeps having different knee problems and different injuries. And he just had another surgery a week and a half ago. So I think the Clippers right now on paper are really good. And Thomas, you are correct. They got to play this entire schedule and stay on the floor. But man, they got better talent now than they've probably had in a whole bunch of years in terms of numbers and depth.
Do you think Clipper fans just got to be so bummed out that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, they traded him? That was in the Paul George trade, right? I mean, Clippers have had a long history of being cursed as well. I mean, that's a tough go for that franchise.
Well, they thought they were really close. They thought Paul George coupled with Kawhi would make a huge difference. And it almost did, but then Kawhi broke down. Kawhi's had 3 different surgeries on that one leg.
Yeah, brutal.
Okay, next one.
Okay, let's keep going. And let's talk a little soccer. And this is from Jorge Castillo. And he says, hey, Pochettino sucks. He's trying to find excuses for a defeat that was his fault, not the players' fault. He chose to play defense, and he paid the price.
Well, fault that he played kids, too. But I think the end result, for them to play a Mexican side that was loaded with veteran players who have a lot of caps in international play, and some of those guys play in the English Premier League, and for those kids to hang in there and not cave in, granted, it was a lopsided game. Time of possession was real Mexico. Shots on goal was all Mexico. But at the end of the day, those kids did not wilt in the face of that type of pressure. And I thought they hung in there pretty well. And understand this, there were 9 guys, veteran players, who were not with Team USA for a wide variety of reasons. Some were playing in the Club World Cup for their own teams. Some were recovering from surgeries and injuries. Some guys just needed rest, led by Christian Pulisic. So you take the consortium of veterans who will be returning now when they reopen practices in the open window, and you take the group of kids that they force-fed and you merge them together, and they're going to play 9 friendlies between now and the start of the World Cup next summer. They'll have plenty of time to incorporate everybody, get everybody healthy, which is critically important, and just see which young guy fits with the Pulisic-led veterans that they have. So I think Pochettino even though he took a lot of heat from a lot of people, maybe deservedly so. Now suddenly people are saying, hey, maybe he had the right formula. Maybe the Gold Cup is not as critical as what we're going to do in the World Cup on our soil next summer. Does that make sense?
It does. I mean, we'd love to win, the Gold Cup, but in the end, it's all World Cup. That's all that matters. And it's just weird. I've been on this emotional roller coaster with Coach Pochettino. When they first hired him, like, hey, right on, Paris Saint-Germain. I think it was with Chelsea.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So you're thinking, okay, this guy's legit. And then they get off to this terrible start. They're losing to Panama and these little itty bitty Caribbean islands. You're like, what the hell? And then all of a sudden they surprised in the tournament.
Yeah, I thought it was going to blow out City in the Gold Cup. I couldn't believe it.
So I at this point, I'm encouraged. I mean, it seems like the trend line's pointing up, so hopefully they get all these guys back, have some good friendlies, and then the World Cup in America is going to be great.
We'll see. FIFA's Club World Cup, I thought, was a raging disaster because of the heat, the humidity.
Well, they're going to move to a lot more different stadiums,
different venues, but they're still be played in the summer. And there are rumors that they're going to go to some dome stadiums. They're going to move some games around. And again, the World Cup is much different than Club World Cup, which I thought was a terrible reach.
Yeah, that was like almost unnecessary. But I remember in '94 when America hosted, didn't we have some games that were indoors and it was on artificial surface? And that was like
bitching about that.
Yeah. FIFA was like, oh, I don't know about this, but they work with it. But I wonder, do any of it, like in the Premier League, are any of those dome stadiums?
No, they're all open.
Yeah.
And play in the elements on real grass.
Right.
The bigger problem is we did not need another 32 team tournament on the international global soccer schedule. Chelsea and Paris Saint-Germain just each played their 65th game in 48 weeks.
That's a lot.
That's the wear and tear on these players is ungodly.
Right.
So that's a big issue. That's why there's been such unbelievable criticism that we didn't need this Club World Cup, and this is burnout, and this is an injury factor for the players. You need to pay attention to these players. They need to be taken care of better. So that's where we are. Hey, listen, we hope you have enjoyed this podcast.